Well,
Okay, good evening and welcome to a joint meeting of the Select Board and Finance Committee for Monday, April 26th. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and his March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Select Board and Finance Committee will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the AG's webpage. The town will persevere to use conference call capabilities regularly for other parties to listen in and participate accordingly. If not possible, we will post on the town's website an audio recording as soon as possible after the meeting. All select board meetings are recorded, and if anyone's recording this meeting, they need to make it known to the chair. And in attendance so far from the select board is myself, Doug Moglen, Russell Fox, CAO Steinhardt, Lisa Anderson, did Mr. Didi and Joseph Didi. Okay. Linda, do you want to roll call in the Finance Committee?
Yes, for roll call on Finance Committee. I'm Linda Bathel. I am present. Art?
present.
Bob? Not yet. Sheila?
I'm here.
Perry Mish?
Yep.
Carrie Doherty? Karen DeMayo? Okay. We'll wait and see who else joins. Thank you, Doug.
No problem. Do you have a quorum as of yet?
We do.
She's got a quorum.
Okay. So why don't we take public comments first? If anyone would like to address the select board, now's your opportunity. Okay. First order of business, and I almost forgot. Mr. Pennell, are you here?
Yes.
Would you kindly lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for
which it stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's quick pay some bills. We're going to acknowledge payroll warrant 2123 dated 4/12 in the amount of $228,721.87. And payables warrant 2126B dated April 20th in the amount of $6,753,181.41. And from the select board, I need an omnibus motion for minutes of the open session of April 12th, executive session April 12th, and our portion of the open session budget meeting with FinCom of April 13th.
Joe Didi will make that motion.
Russ Fox will second that motion.
It's a roll call vote, please. Doug Moglen, aye.
Joe Didi, aye.
Russ Fox, aye.
Good. Thank you. Okay. Discuss and approve fiscal year 22 budget, special town meeting, annual town meeting warrant articles, and town meeting location logistics. FinCom, moderator, police, fire, town accountant, town council, health director, emergency management, channel 15, town clerk, and school business manager are all welcome to participate and help us figure this logistics of this out. Mr. Steinhardt?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Okay, so the first thing we want to do probably is just finish disposing of the fiscal year 22 budget. As you recall, you had a series of budget hearings during the winter, and then you recently had a reconciliation meeting with the Finance Committee in full aboard there and a full board of select persons. So that would be the line item budget that everyone has been supplied by Laura. And I'm sure there's a couple of things that we had left off that were being fine tuned. The issue with the road for $1 million decision for the bond issue was taken care of. Issue with the salary reserve was addressed by the chairpersons of both boards. Let's see, Channel 15 Capital was addressed, so we make, that's going to be there for the future for more outfitting of the buildings. And then the other issues that we had was now that we're buying some large pieces of equipment and other vehicles, Randy was able to go back and adjust some numbers in his vehicle repair budget that Laura's going to make the adjustment on, since you're getting a DPW sewer division truck. You're not going to need as many dollars than that, but you are going to have to be repairing a vehicle on an ongoing basis until the new one shows up. The highlights, as if each one of you got in your package, highlights that you received have to do with another year of supporting our advanced life-saving EMS service level increase with the 8th career person. And our objective is to go to 24-hour shifts. We've recently finished the agreement with that fire union. The board's going to be voting on that later in this meeting. So that's consistent with the commitment that we've been going over with town meeting voters the last several years. So that's a growth issue in our budget and our tax rate. Other investments and other issues addressed are the compliance with the federal EPA stormwater MS4 permit regulations, compliance with the Mass DEP requirements for the old brush landfill closure at the transfer station, cash purchases for vehicles and equipment for the DPW and the police department, debt service allocations to cover roads, again, the stepping in of this year's $1 million issue and the one you're about to vote on in May. So that has to be stepped into the debt service. The additional water line that Randy is proposing for $575, another dump truck and an ambulance. So those are items that we will see later that are on the warrant, but they have to be reflected in the principal and interest part of the budget under the debt service. Other issues relate to the master plan update and the leveraging of that with CPA reserves and funds. The town hall roof replacement design, we were not able to secure the CPA support for that this year, but it is a legally eligible item that can be looked at in the future once that design process is done and the bids come in. The phased in managed service provider for our IT function that goes toward improving our cybersecurity measures and also beginning to institutionalize the more importance of understanding the IT function, which are all called for under recommendations by the Massachusetts Executive Office of Technology, as well as an increased capital investment for the cemetery expansion purposes. These issues, so those are the highlights of your expenditure budget. Other things to consider that will happen in the future relate to the receipt and use of federal American Recovery Plan Act funds that have not been fully finalized. We anticipate some allocation in June. The United States Department of Treasury has not released the detailed guidelines as the date of this letter. We continue to operate the Massachusetts DOR required COVID pandemic deficit accounts for charge-offs for pandemic-related expenses. Several reimbursements have been secured to date. It is hoped all the expenses will ultimately be recovered from the federal and state funds. However, we must be mindful of our obligation to liquidate any financial expenses at the end of the multi-year authorized accounts for the disaster event. And for those of you that have dealt with other disasters in the past, they usually had much more limited durations, and this one has gone on for 13 or 14 months now. So it's been quite a challenge for all the department heads to not only deliver their services and endure this and keep their, keep responding, but also to adapt to it and to make sure that they've been able to respond to the citizens on the services that they deliver. So I applaud everybody for having done that. I'm sure you all need a break. And now we're getting ready to go into elections and town meeting again. So that are the highlights, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Well, while we have, well, I'm not sure that's Mr. Presnell. I'm pretty sure he has his ID with him. We'll make sure, because the clock is missing. Okay, you're good then. All right, thank you. Do we want to talk about logistics before we get into the budget? You want to do the budget? What's the pleasure, ladies and gentlemen?
I'll make the motion that we go to logistics prior to going to the second warrant.
Okay, I'm sure the finance committee would love to have an opinion on that.
Well, let's,
I concur.
Okay. Okay. Joe, your logistics for the town meeting, correct?
Sure. What would you like to know?
What do we need to know? We have Mr. Presnell here. We
Yeah.
have Channel 15 here.
Yep.
We
Peter.
have Peter Cowles here.
Yep.
I
Mr.
saw Mr.
Dunlap.
Wikander as well. And I
Yep,
hope I didn't
Eric.
bullocks up your last name too badly. Thank you,
Eric
Eric, for coming.
Rickender.
So what do we need to do? What needs to be done? I see Charlie Dunlap's here as well. And I see our moderator. The gang's all here.
Yep. So I guess porta potties are all lined up. How many chairs do you want outside, Doug? Or
Six.
Celeste? What are you thinking? 200, 150? You got them.
Oh, Michelle, what's your opinion?
No one, they're all muted.
Michelle, what did we set up for last year? We had 79 people attend on your roster.
Yeah, but I'm planning for 250. I mean, I looked at past years just to kind of get a rough number.
Okay, so 250 chairs.
Okay.
PA system, we were gonna use fire department like last time.
We had spoke, Joe, about getting something a little bit more robust due to the crowd size, and we'll probably be having some interference noise with the light towers as well. Ours was really pushing the max, and I know we had a little bit of work to do trying to patch it into Peter's system and the TV broadcast. So I would suggest I don't know if Peter has access or something to a little bit more robust PA system, that I would advise on that.
Peter?
Personally, I own 2,000 watt speakers that would probably cover the parking lot pretty efficiently. Those don't belong to Channel 15, they're mine, so
Great. Do they
you guys need them?
They'll tie into the system though for the recording?
Yeah, well, I can bring over my soundboard too. We'll just bring over the soundboard, feed the speakers and feed the audio for the recording.
Wonderful. And you still need to hook up from something from the school, right? Did they run you a wire out or something to make that work last time?
Yeah, and I know Dennis is looking at another option. I don't know if he wants to talk about it. I saw it in one of the emails flying around.
Dennis,
We can take care of that, Peter, whatever way we think it works best. I'll discuss that with you. We can do it the way we did last year if you like, or we could try doing it through our camera in the laptop. Do you see any downfalls with that, Peter, by doing it through?
You were talking about using a MiFi unit. Problem is if everybody's over there and they're on their cell phones, then your signal could tank.
Well, can we get an Ethernet port from the school and then put a Wi-Fi hotspot outside to do what
Last
they need
year-
to do?
Last year, we just ran a long cable from inside the school and everything was fine.
Because we can
Wonderful.
certainly get a Wi-Fi device so that people, if there's more than one person that needs to be on that, we can do that.
Yeah, and I have that accessible to me as well. I can bring one over too.
Okay.
all right, so you work that out with Eric. You guys are all set as far as that wire goes.
Yeah, we'll just
The
need,
audio-
Do you need, Joe, is there a way to keep Peter and that equipment under some kind of cover during the town meeting in case there's a passing shower or something like that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Not a problem.
Yeah, I'm gonna need something, an umbrella or something to put over the camera, because last year, I think the camera got overheated. They had a little problem with it. I think the sun was beating down on it. That's, I'm guessing what happened, but we get a big umbrella. I think that would take care of that.
Or a 10 by 10 tent is perfectly fine too.
Not a problem.
You got
Okay.
one of those too, I bet, Pete, huh?
Joe, excuse me, Joe, are you contemplating the large truck again with the hay bales, or
Yep, all set.
like, does Celeste want to be up on the truck like Jim was, or does she want to be on the ground elevation like the rest of us were?
Celeste?
Well, I'm actually thinking it's probably better to be up a little bit higher, since I kind of struggle with keeping my glasses from fogging with a mask. So if I have to go without a mask, it's probably better to be elevated.
Okay.
I
I'll
do
second.
think it makes it a little bit better too. It just kind of makes it easier for the people to see as well.
Yes, it does. All right, so the audio is covered, the bathrooms are covered, the stage is covered, the seats are covered. We got to bring X amount of tables for Michelle. How many tables, Michelle? 8? Yep, 8 tables, okay. So I guess I'm all set on my end, other than the police and enforcing anything you want enforced. That would be
So-
Chief Bishop. Oh,
We can set up right, if we start setting up right at 2:30, if we can get some NHS kids to help us set up chairs and stuff, we should be able to do the chairs and the tables pretty fast.
Steve, how are you in terms of making sure that that parking lot is going to be appropriately cleared of, school activities at that point of the day? Not only on that day, but if Celeste has to, call for a postponement or a delay to another date?
Yeah, we've notified the Southwick Regional School Principal, Mr. Termel.
I actually spoke with him too personally when
Okay.
I saw him recently. So, and he said
Good.
whatever we need just to let him know. So that's,
Yeah.
I think we'll be fine on that end.
They blocked both days out, so there'll be no after-school activities.
Okay, good. Charlie, these generators that are going to be coming from the sheriff's office, how loud are they?
You're muted, Charlie.
Charlie, you're muted.
they're as loud as Charlie.
There we go. I do not know what the sound level is. We get what we get, what's available.
Okay. I mean,
Now, I do have a suggestion. We could park a vehicle between the generator and the chairs, which will divert the noise away. So that would be one way of sound reduction.
Does each light unit have a separate generator attached with it? Or is it just one generator with multiple light units hooked into it?
Each generator has its own tower and lights. So that would be 4 generators
And 4 vehicles?
and 4 vehicles, correct.
Okay. Because I think we all know that this meeting is a month sooner than last year's meeting. So, and the length of the warrant is, 4 times as long as it was last year.
Now, one concern is with the lights, they will be drawing bugs. So that is something to be of concern.
That'll just make them vote quicker. We'll be
That's right.
fine. Yeah.
Joe, can you get a bug zapper?
I'm not even worried
gonna
about it.
ask Eric, what's the lighting over there now? Like, what's the on-building lighting there? Is there some light over there now?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we actually did some repairs, I think, either right before or right after town meeting last year, and we added some new LED fixtures. So the lighting's pretty decent. Carl, I can send you over a screenshot from one of our security cameras if you're curious for like what it would look like in pitch black.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason why we were looking at this is we want to make sure that if people are reading a multi-page warrant with a lot of text, that they can see it fairly well wherever they're seated.
Yeah,
Pretty
I
dark
think,
in that
I think you-
auditorium.
You know,
When we
I
have
think
it
you'll
on
struggle.
site.
they'd struggle with the lights the way they are now, right?
And unless they're close to the building,
Yeah.
if there's anybody out towards the tree line, it's going to be a struggle to read anything.
Right, well, that's where some of these light poles would be positioned, because the fire department's got, I believe, Chief Anderson, you've got one unit?
Yeah, just one unit.
And then Charlie, you were thinking about what, 2 to 3 more units?
I have one unit, and then I have magnetic units that can be placed on top of our mobile communications vehicle for different directions. They're all LEDs, and that would be up about 10 feet or so.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's objective here, I believe, is to conclude the business in one evening. And I know, Celeste will be facilitating that as expeditiously as she can, but, this is a give and take process, and we never know what questions are going to be coming up, and we want to make sure that people can properly see the aisles that they're sitting in lit up, as well as read their materials and make their way out of the building, out of the parking lot when they have to leave the meeting and make it back to their vehicles. As well as our staff that's got to take, break the meeting down after it's over.
I think you'll have plenty of light for moving around, setup and all that stuff. It's just the idea of reading that you might want some more.
Right. Joe, is Malicious running a special on headlights on their helmets or anything?
No. No, because if it's over $50, I get in trouble, so no.
How many microphones do we have for people to, last year when Joe moved around, we were just talking about that, about having, some kids carry the microphones, like older responsible kids, like my daughter and maybe one of her friends, carrying microphones. Do we have 2 that can be passed around to the audience, or do we just have 1?
What do you have, Peter?
Question for Dennis. Dennis, did you ever buy the second audio kit? The microphone kit that we installed one in the auditorium. Did you ever get a second one, or?
No, we did not get the second one. We just got one so far.
All right.
Oh, I can probably bring over, I have a 4 wireless kit.
Because we could probably get a lot, we could probably save, I'm thinking like if we save 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, having 2 kids run around that are pretty fast, it'll save a little bit of time.
Yeah, I have a wireless kit that has 4 microphones in it.
All right. So
Thank
we get 2 kids to kind of. Okay.
Police chief, where is he at? There he is.
Yes, sir.
Anything you need from us? You ready? You've done this before?
Yes, sir. I think, still there?
Yes, sir.
For some reason, my screen went blank. We're good to go. We're gonna put 1 officer at each one of the corners like we did. We'll have 2 at the lineup line, just to make sure no one's any issues at that point in time. The only thing, I don't know if it's legal or not, but I just wonder if we have some people, a good number of people showing up without masks on. Do we have a special seating area for them if they use their medical excuse?
Oh,
They'll be on the hill where I was last year, right?
Just something to think about. Just so we can, I know we want an area for visitors, areas for press, and I was thinking this year also a specific area for people that may have a medical issue without a mask that the other people would feel uncomfortable sitting with.
Mrs. Spencer,
It is allowable, but it does not have to necessarily be done.
meaning
I'm sorry, I've still got over 500 masks in my in the office, so I will bring those.
good idea.
We can choose to do such a thing, but we can also require masks.
I thought the medical exemption, I didn't realize, I thought the medical exemption gave people an excuse where we couldn't shut them down.
I believe that we can require everybody to wear a mask.
Okay, yeah.
This is Ben Coyle, Town Council. We need to have a segregated area for people who don't want to wear a mask or are claiming a medical exemption. I think it's in the town's best interest to have a separate section for them so that they can't say that they couldn't participate because we wanted them to wear a mask if they're claiming a medical exemption.
I think it'll be pretty easy when we're setting up the chairs in the afternoon to figure a spot that we think is pretty doable. I think it'll be pretty manageable, even if it's like off to the side. I think it'll be fine. I think we can figure it out when we're setting up the chairs to do that. I think, you know, maybe we'll get like, even if we got like 2 or 3, I don't think we'll get much more than that. I think it's an easy setup.
I also have to
Which-
set up an area for non-voters as well.
Yep.
So with that, we have to keep that in mind as well.
Okay.
And that's not the same area as the people without masks. Just kidding. I got it.
My other question is, I need a list of people who are non-voters who will be attending the meeting to permit them onto the floor. So
Yep.
maybe you guys can just email me like different departments that have different people, like, you know, I know Steve Presnell's not a resident and whoever else is not a resident, so I can do that.
Yeah, we will prepare that for you. Celeste.
Okay, okay, great.
And Ben, and the other big thing you'll want is Ben will, once the warrant is signed off by the board and they're posted and they're the final versions, then he'll do the vote requirements for every single
Right, okay.
article on each warrant. And that's when you can begin to work with him on the issue of where they lend themselves to being grouped.
Okay, perfect. My other question is, who keeps the list of important people who've passed away that we need to mention during the town meeting?
We usually work that out with the Council on Aging.
Okay,
And if anybody, and we try to develop one, but if anybody knows of people, we certainly don't want to miss anyone. This has been a bad year. You know, so it's just one of those things. If you know somebody, say something. And we'll create a list.
Earl, I'll look tomorrow because we keep a running list of anyone who is a resident of Southwick. So I can take a look. I just won't know personally if they were all connected, so I'll run it through you.
Right. Thank you.
great.
Joseph, anything else we got to worry about?
Never
Flag
will.
for Pledge of Allegiance.
Fire Chief? Mr. Anderson? I mean, we did the last one, went off awesome. I mean, it was great preparation and great cooperation. I don't think this is going to be any different. Probably just some more people. Now we just do the anti-rain dance from here on out, right?
So, could I ask, Chief Bishop, would you be interested in leading us with the Pledge of Allegiance, as this will be your last town meeting as the chief?
Well, I wasn't planning on being there, but
Oh, okay,
no, I'm joking. Yes, I would be I'd be honored to do that, ma'am. Thank you.
great.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
We'll make you a little card with it so you can read it.
Please do. I get nervous every time I have to say it.
He's not gonna sing though, right? He's just.
No singing.
Okay, all right,
Yeah,
one
no,
more
we did that last time, yeah.
Now, Doug, the other thing that you'll want to make sure you have on you too is when we ask the moderator to waive the reading of the warrant in its entirety and to act on each article individually. I know Russ has done that motion before, but that is the procedural thing you'll want to do so you can get right into each warrant article without reading the entire warrant before you start the meeting.
Mr. Fox has been brushing up on that. He'll be ready to go. It's like that's tradition in the town of Southwick, right? Pledge of Allegiance, Russ waives the reading of the warrant. Okay. What else do we have? Logistics. Are we in good shape? Mr. Presnell, Mr. Wickender, is there anything else you need from us?
Just keep us posted as to your needs between Eric and our IT staff, Mr. Grimaldi and his team, and Mr. Trammell and his his folks at the school, we should be able to accommodate you for a nice event,
Awesome.
weather permitting.
We're going to pray for that. Absolutely. Okay, Charlie, you're all set too?
All set.
Last call.
Well, I
Anyone?
was just gonna say, Charlie, what are the logistics of going to the sheriff's department with what vehicles and what departments and what trucks to trailer over those additional units for lighting?
Well, I don't know if they're pintle hitch or ball hitch. And water department has the vehicles. I don't know if they're, I expect they might be pintle hitches. And that would be water department.
Well, can you and Randy work out the logistics of moving those units from where they are to up to the meeting site and make sure that they're gonna be wired by the appropriate people? We don't have to bring in the town electrician to do. They're
Stop.
standalone and you're
Easy
fine.
there, big fella. We just got to get them there. We'll be good from there.
All right, so Charlie, work with Randy on that, please.
Will do. Now, which
Thank you.
parking lot are we using at the school?
The side, like where we had the last one.
I wasn't at the.
If you're
last-
facing the school to the left.
East side.
East side, okay.
Easterly, yeah.
All right, very good, thank you. Got it, Carl, okay.
Okay,
All right. You good with us?
I think so. Thank you. We really appreciate everything and all your help. And
Sure. Superintendent Willard asked me she had a wake that she had to attend this evening, so otherwise she would have been here as well.
not a problem.
So she
Thank
sent
you
her-
very much.
Okay. Have a great evening, folks. See you soon.
Thank you, Steve.
See you
Bye.
soon. Okay, on to the budget part, Mr. Steinhardt.
I believe you already took care of that, Mr. Chairman, in terms of, now that we've already gone through the highlights of it, and you would be obviously making a motion to adopt it, subject to the Finance Committee fine tuning any of the line items tomorrow with the town accountant.
Would someone like to make that motion, please?
So moved.
Oh, I think it has to be from the select
Oh.
board. Sorry.
Yeah, Linda, you're gonna make.
You'll get your chance tomorrow.
You
That's
do
right.
those votes tomorrow. Linda.
Joseph, thank you.
motion, yes.
Do I have a
Russ Fox will
second?
second that motion.
Thank you. Doug Moglen, aye.
Joe DDI. Russ Fox, aye.
Okay. That part's down. Now we're on to the warrant articles themselves. Do we need to review those at this time? And I believe we had something that Michelle needed us to adopt too, correct?
As an action item, the election warrant,
Okay.
that's
Oh, yeah,
like,
that's on there. Okay. I just saw it on Friday's email. I didn't want to miss it. You don't want to get on Michelle Hill's bad side.
okay,
She's still here?
yeah.
There she is. She asked me to do something, I do it. All right, so let's go to the special town meeting warrant. So special town meeting warrant is pretty perfunctory. There's the reserve account adjustments and transfers that need to be done. Articles 2 is the snow and ice removal and tropical storm Isaias cleanup. And Article 3 is OPEB. Article 4 is the capitalization. We talked about this during the budget hearing, was to capitalize $5,000 from an operational line item to carry the amount forward from this budget year into next year. And that is the extent of the special.
Yeah,
Carl, I
Mr.
have a question. Go ahead.
Okay, I was going to ask you, Mr. Chairman, I was going to ask to see if Ben Coyle believes that these 4 articles are simple majority and can be done in a consolidated vote.
Well, they are all majority. If we wanted to do it in a consolidated vote, I guess we could unless there's questions. And I'll consult with you and Celeste about the consent agenda and some verbiage that I think the town should incorporate, and we can do that.
Right, I believe that's what Celeste was requesting us to look into to see where we could do that. Basically, this is just your year-end housekeeping warrant, so it's pretty straightforward.
Yep,
correct.
So, Mr. Chairman, what was the other question you had, sir?
I kind of answered it myself. I see that we've moved up the annual by 15 minutes from what we usually do anyway, just to buy a little more daylight. So that's going to be perfect, right?
Yeah.
This shouldn't take, this special shouldn't take, if we do it right, 10 minutes tops,
Right.
but that's fine. But I imagine there'll still be people flowing into the town meeting, given everything else going on. So, okay.
Right,
So
because you're gonna be signing both this warrant and the annual warrant by Friday morning for posting by the constable through the clerk's office. So that is why we're making sure that everybody is all on the same page and we're clear on what the warrant articles are, the order of the warrant articles, and any other questions at this point in time.
Okay, and then on to the annual. So Article 1 is the election, which we have an action item for that. Article 2 is accepting the town report. Article 2, 3, 4, 5 are perfunctory that we do every year. Article 5 is to accept grants. Article 6 is a borrowing authorization. This was reconciliation out of the Finance Committee and Select Board. We're going to bond for $1 million for roads. Article 7 is a new dump truck. 8 is a borrowing authorization for an ambulance. Notice that that is coded to be offset by any grants or gifts.
They all are.
Yep. Article 9, water transmission main is, this was an ad from a project that was completed last year to basically be able to fully utilize the pumping station North College Highway. Article 10 is the budget itself. Article 11, revolving funds. We do that every year. CPC budget is Article 12. And 13 is CPC admin and operating. And then Articles 14, 15, 16, 17 are Community Preservation Committee articles based on votes taken by the CPC previous to put them on this warrant. Article 18. Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Moderator, could I ask a question of town council?
Of course.
On Article 16, I reached out to the chairman of the Historical Commission this afternoon. Since this is money being requested by a private for-profit corporation, and it's never been done in the town of Southwick before, but it has been done other places in the Commonwealth. Well, my question, Ben, is we sold the library for approximately $12,000. And there were restrictions on there of what that person needed to do to preserve that library. And when talking to the chairman of the Historical Commission, I asked him if they had reviewed that document prior to this vote being taken. He wasn't sure. So is there some way we could look at that document to make sure that we're not using tax dollars, that we've already have a commitment that it should be done with private dollars?
I can look at the restrictions that were placed on there and report back.
Because I think Mr. Tynick is doing a wonderful job. I think we've got that building back on the tax rate or the tax rolls. But I'm just concerned that we're going to be spending tax dollars on a for-profit corporation.
I'll look at what the restrictions are. As you indicated, for-profit entities are allowed to apply for CPC funds. So while it may not have ever been done in the town of Southwick before, it is, it's pretty commonplace for other places to do it. So
right. I'm just concerned, Ben, that if we've already got a commitment that they're supposed to be doing that anyways.
Okay, I'll take a look.
Okay, 18 is a new article this year. This is to take money from the CPC General and Reserve Fund for service on the debt for the alum treatment that was done last year. Article 19 is the regional school budget. 20 is the debt authorization for the school budget. 21 is an easement.
The
from-
next four relate to Tannery Road.
For Tannery Road. Okay, and Article 22 is acceptance of the Town Way Revere Road. Oh, it's related to that other article. Gotcha. So this was a former subdivision road, making good on accepting that way. Much like we've done with many others in town. 23 easement, stormwater and drainage easements for Revere Road. And then 24 is to budget for some amount of money, not to exceed $25,000 for the costs of the takings for Revere Road. So it needs to be laid out again. It's been a while. Need to be laid out. We've done this with some other older subdivision roads where the developer is no longer around and we no longer have the as-built, but these roads were meant to be taken. So we're going to go back and get that laid out.
Ben, Ben, excuse me, Mr. Chairman. Ben, are you and Mark Begley all set with these four, or does anything change with those?
At the present time, they're all set. Mark and I are supposed to meet tomorrow just to confirm.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And Article 25 is a new chapter in the Code of Southwick. Interesting. So now that it's been put to form, so this will allow the town to ask a developer to reimburse the town for a consultant when they need to have plans reviewed by professionals above and beyond the capability of the planning board. This is something that they've had under subdivision control law, but this will give them wider ability to have a consultant in non-subdivision type special permit applications. Article 26 is
Doug, can I interrupt
yes.
you a second? Sorry, on 23 and 24, because there is money there not to exceed a certain dollar amount, do you need a pro and con comment from finance because it involves money, or are we good to go because they're related to the easements?
That's an excellent question. I have no idea.
I would suggest a pro and con because there's an appropriation that's being requested.
Okay, thank you.
I was going to phone an attorney too. So thank you, Attorney Coyle.
Linda, the important thing here is that we don't want to have, you know, when you undertake a large project like this, you're going to do a lot of recordings and there's engineering involved in it. You know, the DPW doesn't have the money to pay for it out of their budget. And this, you know, with the amount of legal work that's going to be involved in this too, we can't have this monopolize the town legal budget either.
Got it.
Oh, it's really like a project-related expense.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Article 26 is revision of Chapter 185 to remove an antiquated term. Article 27 is a zoning bylaw amendment regarding, this is for the signs, right? For signs, and it's fairly lengthy as far as the text of it. But it's basically modifying the sign bylaw. Attorney Coyle, this still does need a 2/3 at town meeting, right? This is not one of the ones that was changed by the new state law for zoning, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Article 28 is another zoning bylaw for Chapter 185, and this modifies to allow certain large parcels in a residential zone to have solar installed on it. Article 29 is they delete this chapter from stormwater bylaw under Chapter 185 and move it to a new bylaw, Chapter 183 for stormwater management. This was so this is also a fairly lengthy article as far as the number of pages and stuff, but this is a bylaw that we've had something similar in place with the planning board, and the authority was delegated to the planning board and then redelegated out to relevant boards and commissions and offices. This is going to have its own bylaw now. Article 30 Stormwater
Doug,
bylaw. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to point something out with this too. What we're gonna do is have a handout at town meeting for this particular warrant article that'll have the red line and what the changes are.
Yep.
Because it is very voluminous, and I think by having a handout, we'll be able to deal with this relatively quickly because there aren't a lot of changes. But rather than just show what the changes are and not, we'll do it as a separate handout and then just recodify it as.
Perfect.
So I made a little notation at the end that a handout will be available at town meeting for that.
Stormwater bylaw changes is Article 30, and this is another amendment to Chapter 315. Article 31 is to enact and enable the stretch code as a new Chapter 186. And this is part of the green energy community piece. Article 32, fingerprinting. Where are we? 32.
I think that was it.
That's the last one. So this is just this was something, it's been so long since we talked about, this was probably the first article we discussed as far as being in the queue to go on a warrant. But so that's it for the warrant. Questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Sir?
you had you referenced a change in our zoning voting requirements at town meeting in regards to some change at the state level.
Yes.
Changing the 2/3 to majority. Is there some relevant information that you could provide to the finance committee that explains that change in the law?
Sure.
Maybe, Ben
We
Coyle
can get
could-
that for you. I mean, I think it has to do with affordable housing and accessory unit development is where they did it. But I'll get you the text of and I'll work with Attorney Coyle to get that to you.
All right, thank you.
We'll
Yep.
do it.
But I believe all the zoning amendments we have don't fall under that, so they will require the 2/3. And that's the warrant. And we should be gone by what, 7:05? We usually take a little informal pool on that before the meeting starts on the end time, and we've always all been wrong by hours.
If Russ doesn't make that motion to waive the reading of the warrant in its entirety, you'll be here another night.
You won't be picking 8 or 9 o'clock. You'll be picking Thursday. All right. So that's it for town meeting. I do have an action item. Why don't we take care of it right now? This is from Michelle Hill, and it's to adopt the election. Notice. This has got to be posted. So do we need to read this in its entirety, Michelle, or just to adopt this document? Basically that there's an election for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 12 positions on the election, I believe. And
You just have to adopt it. The specimen ballot is out on the web. It's posted everywhere at town hall as well. But it
Okay.
is accessible on the website too, so they can see all the candidates and
Yeah, it's the 11th item on your action folder, Mr. Chairman.
got it. Well, I think
if we may in meeting to say the election's May 11th and it's from 7 to 8 p.m.
would anybody like to make that motion that Michelle just stated that when the election is and what time?
Joe Didi will make the motion.
Mr. Fox?
Russ Fox will second that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Doug Moglen, aye.
Joe Didi, aye.
Russ Fox, aye.
Okay, so that's done. Is there any other items for the town meeting or special town meeting that we need to do to move the meeting forward tonight, Mr. Steinhardt?
No, you just need to, Ben, do they have to take a vote to authorize themselves to sign both the special and the annual warrants outside the meeting?
Yes, they should.
There you go.
So you need a motion for what to authorize For
For the
what?
board to sign both the special and annual town meeting warrants for posting.
Joe
Okay.
Didi will make that motion.
Russ Fox will second that motion.
Doug Mogul, aye?
Joe Didi, aye.
Russ Fox, aye.
Done. Okay.
Okay, Benjamin, any other procedural issues?
Not that I'm aware of.
Thank you.
No
So-
problem. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you. I just want to
Thanks.
thank everybody that's been on through this, the finance committee, department heads, police, fire, Carl, town hall staff for getting us to where we are as far as pulling this off, given the conditions and everything else. And Joe for kind of organizing and getting the outdoor meeting set up. I'm sure it's going to be great. I think we were one of the first communities in the state to do it last year. And I'm sure it's going to come off great.
Joe, did
So
you
thank you.
want Doug to unseal anything?
Yeah, Doug, you can open your package that was delivered to you.
Oh, boy.
It should stop ticking by now. So,
I ran it underwater when Carl gave it to me, just to be sure.
beautiful.
Did everybody get one or just me?
Oh,
Yes,
oh,
you,
Oh, geez.
because everybody knows about it. In fact, you can read it.
Oh, come on. Come on. Thank you very much. Well, it's really been a team effort to get us here and wow, that means a lot. Thank you all.
Thank you. Doug.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank
My
you.
God, if there were any more signatories, we'd be incorporating a new town.
This almost looks like the founding document.
It does.
But no, I do appreciate this. I really do. You know, and I think the cooperation from all the boards and departments as we've gone through this has been phenomenal. And I've been telling everybody that I think we see the light at the end of the tunnel for this thing. Hopefully it's not a train. And a couple, in short order, we'll be able to get town hall back open again, that we'll be able to meet in person safely. And, we'll be working with Tammy and everyone else to make sure that everyone that's had the opportunity to get a vaccination can make that available to them if they so choose. And once that process is kind of complete, we can start to, resume meeting, with Tammy's guidance to start having in-person meetings again. Frankly, the Zooms are kind of easy. I never have to leave the comfort of my home or my office, but there's something to be said. It's not the same, meeting everything remote. And it's been an interesting year.
Especially when you're getting your roof done.
That was the icing on the cake 2 weeks ago. Absolute icing on the cake. Okay. Well, again, thank you very much. Finance Committee, are you going to adjourn your portion or are you going to stick around or?
We are officially going to adjourn with a reminder that we do meet tomorrow evening to review everything that we need for the upcoming meeting.
Okay, so you guys should just roll call out then with a motion to adjourn the Finance Committee portion, please.
All right, can I get a motion?
So moved, Sheila.
Second?
Bob.
Okay, Linda, yes. Art?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Sheila?
Yes.
Mr. Mish?
Yes.
Carrie? Okay, and Karen? Okay, we are adjourned at 6:54. See you all tomorrow, and thank you everybody else for a productive meeting.
Thank you.
Mr.
Good night.
Horacek,
Same.
What?
Mr. Horacek,
Yes.
you're in a different place. I just noticed now. Every other meeting you've been in a different place. Today you're in a new one, right?
I think so.
Where you?
Oh, no. That's why I was like, my computer was messing up. And so I came up. So as you can see, that's not my name. That's my wife's name. So this is her computer.
No problem. Well, thank you very much.
You bet. Take care.
Okay, thank you. Okay, back to our agenda. Is the fire chief and Deputy Chief here? Yes. Southwick Fire Department looking for approval of putting on second floor roof prop to existing training fire boxes. Oh, look, they even gave us a drawing.
I wouldn't call that a drawing.
Better than I would do.
Yeah, so basically, we want to put containers on top of the existing container with a roof prop on it. So it'd be another box and a half with an angled roof, simulated roof. This keeps us off the association building roof, which has seen better days, and other ladder drills as well.
Discussion?
Well, I guess I'm for it. It says you're going to paint the buildings the same color, but I would love to see that outside area cleaned up, though.
Yeah, I agree. That is part of it. Some of that is, I think, highway, some of the old grates.
The buoys and the stuff in the back, I scream about those all the time, and I'm with you on that. But some
Yeah,
of the other stuff is definitely you guys. And then what are we going to do with the old association building while we're on that subject? I mean, is there any game plan to, do something with that? Not that it falls under you two guys, but I'm sure you can bring that back to your people. And I was kind of wondering what the hell they're going to do with that building. It was a great asset for 100 years, but it has seen better days, Chief, like you said.
Yeah, there's been numerous ideas floated around. Most of them are cost prohibitive. There is a detailed plan to hoe it out, and Randy's going to provide some dumpsters and at least get it stripped down and cleaned out the best we can. And then we did bring Art in there to as a building inspector to take a look at it. And he said basically it's sound. It just needs a couple things here and there, and get rid of the 40-pound raccoon that's in it. But other than that, so yeah, there's been some ideas. Some of them are pretty lofty. Some of them might be realistic. I'm not really sure yet.
I'd like to see something done, and definitely clean up that area, please.
Yeah, we can make that work.
Thank you. Mr. Fox?
Excuse me.
I will make the motion to approve.
Joe Didi will second it.
Mr. Steinhardt, you had an additional commentary?
I just wanted, now that we also allowed the finance committee to log off, I don't believe now that we're done with adopting the budget that we need the town accountant and their staff to remain on in their offices.
Oh, I thought they were just here for the pure comedy. Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Laura.
So we have a motion made and seconded. Doug Moglen, aye.
Joe Didi, aye.
Russ Fox, aye.
There you go. Paint them all the same color.
Please.
And apparently Joe has approval of the color based
No,
on.
I
this.
don't care, but just, it's
No,
this is like-
you're right. You're absolutely
it's
right.
like
No,
the
you're absolutely
junkyard on Sam West Road. He's finally coming in for another license, and I'm gonna get a piece of them, finally. This is the same thing, right? I mean, these guys do a great job. I get it, but I drove by today, there's 2 cars upside down, and I know it's part of the training. I get it, but every once in a while you scratch your head and go, Jesus Christ, we gotta clean this area up. And the chief said he's gonna do it, so we're all set. Or he's gonna tell someone else to do it.
I was going to say, you're going to find those cars at Moonlicious tomorrow morning.
That's
Okay.
okay.
And on a lighter note,
Yeah.
and this is not an April Fool's letter, correct, Chief? The next one on our agenda, because it is dated April 1st that you got a grant for $12,475 in funding.
That is correct. That's the state working speed.
Okay, but this is real. So I need a motion to accept this grant in the amount of $12,475 for firefighter safety equipment grant program.
Joe Didi will make the motion.
Russ Fox will second that motion.
Doug Moglen, aye.
Joe Didi, aye.
Russ Fox, aye.
Okay. Oh, the police left except for one, so I'll get my final pound of flesh. So my time as chair is winding down, thanks God. But, and we were successful in concluding union negotiations with every single union except one. So I need a motion to approve the Union Fire IAFF MOA and authorize the chair to sign.
Joe Didi will make that motion.
Russ Fox will second the motion.
Doug Moglen, aye.
Joe Didi, aye.
Russ Fox, aye.
And, you know, it is with my deepest regret that we were unable to conclude the police department union negotiations and settle a reasonable contract based on the proposals back and forth in time for town meeting. But I don't believe that was in our hands at that point. I'll get off my soapbox. Extend the MOU for Carrie Bradbury to up to June 30th of 2021. So I need a motion to do that.
Joe Didi will make the motion.
Russ Fox will second that motion.
Hey, Doug?
Yes.
I believe there was an updated one that took it to, was it July 9th, Rich?
That's correct.
This goes to July 10th. The version that we got from Brian goes to July 10th, Doug.
Right, correct, July 10.
Sorry,
This is
can we have
valid.
that motion restated to July 10th?
Yes,
Right.
Joe Didi will make the motion.
Russ Fox will second that motion.
Doug Moglen, aye.
Joe Didi, aye.
Russ Fox, aye.
Excellent. Really, the tall kid wants to join the call fire department. So we need a motion to reappoint Clark Robinson to the call fire department. We love the kid, that's why we kid.
He's got to stay for at least a year though, right?
Well, it's for
The
a call.
motion?
It's just for
Whatever.
a call.
I guess he comes and goes. He's like the wind.
Well, he's on the basketball team.
He
Wow.
is currently, yeah.
Play the police office. They need him on the basketball team.
Wonderful. Joe Didi, aye.
How about a motion first?
Joe Didi will make the motion. Then he'll say
Russ
aye.
Fox will second the motion.
Doug Moglen, aye.
I already said it.
Russ Fox, aye.
All right, tell the
Well,
tall
his-
kid he's back.
Will his appointment slip say the tall guy?
Tall kid,
Tall
kid.
kid.
We just call him tall kid.
Yeah.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the chair to sign the $105,000 State Mass Development Agency Site Readiness Program grant. And this is for the Hudson Drive extension through to hopefully Sam West Road at some
Right.
point in time. So I need a motion to approve the chair to sign that.
Joe Didi will make the motion.
Russ Fox will second that motion.
Doug Moglen, aye.
Joe Didi, aye.
Russ Fox, aye.
I'd like to
Yeah.
thank Randy Brown for taking the lead and filling that out and getting it submitted.
That's wonderful.
Absolutely. Thank you, Randy.
Absolutely.
Review invoice number 12 from the Community Assistance Program. And this is a total of $6,473.70.
Don't forget the 70 cents.
And don't forget the 70 cents.
Joe Didi will make the motion.
Russ Fox will second that motion.
Doug Moglen, aye.
Joe Didi, aye.
Russ Fox, aye.
Okay, discuss and approve fiscal year 22 DPW transfer station sticker rates. As Mr. Brown is here, I see him. I see his name. There he is. There he is. Hello, Randy.
How are you today, Doug?
I'm great. Thoughts?
So, go ahead.
The floor is yours.
All right. Well, I gave you a letter providing a financial summary of the solid waste division. This is a discussion we have every year, talking about the new rates for the following fiscal year. So, yeah, as you can see, this past year, our expenses went up quite drastically. That was a direct relation of the new contracts that we signed for recycling and trash disposal services. And as well as, if you recall, since COVID hit, we saw a surge in materials being brought to our facility. So those reasons are the reason why the deficit increased pretty drastically from prior years. So that you know, as you see, the amount of money that we bring into the facility is not enough to cover our annual expenses. So there always has been a contribution from the town general fund And the question is, I guess, what is a select board comfortable keeping the rate at, while also expecting that there's going to be a deficit between the rates and the amount of the operating expenses. So I gave you another table at the very bottom of the first page. If you want to entertain a rate increase, how much revenue that rate increase would generate each year.
Yeah, this is important, Mr. Chairman, because this ends up being something that Laura ends up adding to the budget calculation on the consolidated vote when we adopt the budget, because it allows us to demonstrate that we have a vote to offset this increased expense to the DPW, and it becomes a revenue offset.
When was the last time we increased the rates?
We have increased in the last 2 years. They were $100 and then $110, and then this year they're at $120. So the past 3 years has been a rate increase. Or 2 years.
That's because your costs have been going up where we send the trash. In fact, as you recall, we had to end our relationship with the waste to energy burn plant over there in Agawam, the deal that Russ had put together in the mid 80s. And, it's their prices were even going to be higher than the ones Randy ended up negotiating with other towns, through collective purchasing.
Well, we also have and the senior rate has stayed constant over that time, or has that changed as well?
No, we've, in the past couple of years, there's been about a 10% increase in rates, and we've carried that over across to all of the fees, including the senior rate.
And what age do you have to be to receive the senior rate?
I got my
Mr. Fox, do you know the answer to that, Mr. Fox?
I think it's 65 or it's 60 years is a senior rate.
60.
And
It's
Mr.
60.
Didi, I'm going to have to caution you. You're on perilous ground here with the,
Just thought he might-
perilous ground.
The grandfather rate, right?
What was it before?
right.
Wasn't there an elder abuse claim before?
Well, I'm just trying to mitigate that, right? I'm just warning him that he's on perilous ground. Okay,
I
so
didn't say grandfather.
listen,
Mr.
this
Chairman.
is serious. This is serious business. See, yes, Mr. Fox.
I'd like to propose a motion of raising the annual sticker fee to $135 and the senior rate to $75.
That would be what is the current sticker rate is 60, correct?
Correct.
120 and 60.
Yeah, it's 120 and 60. So you want to go up to 75 on the senior rate?
It'd be $15 for each, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Increase.
Just noting that it's not linear as far
Right.
as a percentage. All right.
Right.
We have a motion made.
Joe Didi will second that.
Roll call vote. Doug Mogul, aye.
Joe Didi, aye.
Russ Fox, aye.
Okay. And Mr. Brown, is it still correct that almost half or of the stickers are senior rate stickers these days?
More than half, that's correct.
More than half. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next is to approve the state and town grant with the Mass Office of Fishing and Boating Access for proposed tree work. So it's to just approve it because it's already done, or it's,
Yeah, I mean, it's just that they're gonna reimburse essentially Dick and Lake Management for dealing with the removal of 7 diseased trees and grinding 8 stumps.
but who's going to contract this or hire this service?
I've already signed off on the quotes by the Lake Management Committee.
Great. But Randy's going to oversee the work itself, or Lake
I
Management?
think Dick is, Lake Management is.
Oh, okay, good enough.
It's with a
Very
vendor.
well. Okay, need a motion to approve.
Joe Didi will make that motion.
Russ Fox will second that motion.
Doug Mogul, aye.
Joe Didi, aye.
Russ Fox, aye.
You think we'll ever have a better rate for the guys with the canoes on the lakes?
You know, I went
that's-
to their meeting a week ago and they skipped public comment. I had to shoehorn it in at the end to thank Dick for putting up a new flag because people were complaining about it. But I do plan to go back at that. You know, there's got to be a solution to that issue. You're right. And it's technically a pain in the neck is not the right answer. They've got to come up with a better way to do it.
Yeah.
So I will endeavor to get on their agenda again to discuss it, and I'll make the request ahead of time. Approve an ad for this year's Business and Industry Journal. This is something we had done last year and the year prior, Carl.
Yes.
And this comes from the Selectmen's Gift account, correct?
Right, and of course, you know, you're not getting too much going into that, going forward in the future, so you just gotta be, mindful of that in the future.
Very well. So we need a motion do we need a motion for that, or we just say, okay?
You'd need a motion.
Okay, we need a motion.
How much are we spending?
400
it was
bucks.
361.25.
361.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And 25 cents.
All right, I'll make the motion.
Fox will second the motion.
Doug Mogul, aye.
Joe Didi, aye.
Russ Fox, aye.
We did the election warrant. Request to add additional alternate building inspector, Arthur Lawler. Discussion?
No, it's pretty straightforward. The correspondence I got from the building inspector is Arthur is available. And the other gentleman, Bob Sullivan, there's other times when he's not available. So this is going to actually help out Kyle very much. And the two of them have really worked with each other on issues in town, especially on the fire station projects. So that was a good way for the two of them to work with each other.
Is it due to vacations and whatnot coming up kind of thing,
Yep.
or? Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, understood, okay.
Vacations, backfilling, and sometimes when we were trying to get Bob for some other stuff, he ended up having some medical conflicts, and then he had some vacation obligations of himself down the Cape.
Gotcha. Okay, Joe Didi will make the motion.
I mean, you've got a great alternate there.
Absolutely.
Russ Fox will second the motion.
Thank you. Doug Mogul, aye.
Joe Didi, aye.
Russ Fox, aye.
Next is to accept the resignation of Reserve Officer Paul Laflemme. It's too bad we can't have this meeting in person like we've done for others and thank him personally, but I need a motion to accept his resignation with our thanks.
Joe Didi will make that motion.
Russ Fox will second.
Doug Mogul, aye.
Joe Didi, aye.
Russ Fox, aye.
Okay. We are at the new business portion of our agenda. Mr. Didi, do you have any new business this evening?
No.
Mr. Fox?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Steinhardt?
Thanks. I have a bunch of items.
Okay, anyone else?
No.
Go right ahead, Carl.
Or number 3.
Obviously, we know we're going to be meeting next week on the 3rd, and we have the elections coming up on May 11th. Does the board want to have a meeting on Monday, May 10th, or do they want to wait till the following week on the 18th and do a consent agenda at 5:45 and not have a meeting on the 10th and the 17th? Which is what you have done historically, but you would need to discuss that now.
When is the election?
The election is Tuesday, the 11th.
So then it would probably not be prudent to meet on the 10th unless there was some urgent earth-shattering thing. I believe that is common practice, correct, Mr. Fox?
Absolutely, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And that's right up there with tradition of which you're withholding. No insinuation there, just asking, because I know you've been on the select board for many years, and I know that there's something about meetings prior to an election. So, okay, very well. Does that answer your question, Mr. Steinhardt?
The first one, what is your preference in terms of the week after?
The week after the 24th?
No, the 17th. We discussed the election.
We will not meet on the, we will have a
meet on-
consent agenda on the 18th. I believe that
That's what
should
you
be
want,
sufficient.
okay. So no meeting on the 17th.
Correct.
This will help Rob and Lisa and I just set up the schedules and the meetings and the Zoom and what can be done in terms of what meeting. So, all right, so we got clarification on that. And then
Hey, I got the placard and the T-shirt. I'm out, right? I'm done. You're done with me. I don't have to Zoom no more.
well, I don't know. I think the way Joe wanted that worded was it was continuing evolution. You're now called the Zoom czar. So in
Zoom
addition
fatigue
to
is
that,
real.
we do have some issues coming up for changes on the planning board staff.
Yes. I was so informed. Is that subject for disclosure at this juncture?
I have been given the official signed letter by the department head.
So it is, but we have to vote to accept it, right? We can keep them on.
Yep.
Yeah, so Mr. Slessler has asked to be relieved to retire, and
Nope.
I say we say no.
Nope.
For the first time in the history of the Commonwealth and the town of Southwick, we are not going to accept the resignation, and he
When
must
we-
stay on forever.
If he can get the canoe prices down on the lake, then he can go. It's up to him.
Well, the only, we do have to be, I would like to have a little bit of a discussion. In all seriousness, there
Okay.
is a proposal coming in front of the planning board forthwith that is going to need some continuity to it. So either we need to move quickly to review and fill, or we need to ask maybe Alan to help us to maybe in some manner to get that application through the process, right? It's a significant program. It was previewed 2 weeks ago at the planning board. That special permit application, I believe, has been filed and is scheduled for a hearing in May. So maybe I need to reach out to Alan and figure out what level of cajoling I can do to keep him on through there. But, obviously,
there's-
Alan, sorry.
Mr. Chairman, there's nothing that prevents you from trying to have him be in a consulting role from a long distance while you go through the other process of recruiting potential candidates for backfilling.
Excellent. We should absolutely endeavor to do that. I mean, Alan's been a superb planner, an all-around good guy, and great counsel to me when I was involved with it, and great counsel to the members of the planning board and to everyone in town hall. I mean, he's just a smart, eloquent guy, and it's going to be a huge loss to the town for him to retire.
Yes, I met with him today. He never did plan on staying that long, but Joe had talked him into it. So, but I think, he needs to do this for his own
No,
person.
and he's right. I mean,
There may be
he's been
another
through a lot. This has been a tough year, probably made the decision all that much easier. It's been a tough year overall for him as well. And I get it. And he should absolutely take all this. I kid. He should take this opportunity to enjoy his well-earned retirement.
So I would suggest that the chairman speak to the chairman of the planning board, and we certainly could, give them a copy of the job description. And that's the type of a discussion that they could have at their own meeting in a regular public session to update it, edit it. We could have Kim put it to form, and then we could determine, putting it out to, putting it out for bid or putting it out for posting, unless you decide other creative things you want to do with, merging it with other functions and other personnel in the town, you have all of those other
Correct.
potential tools at your disposal, gentlemen.
And maybe we should carry that. I mean, I don't know, given the timing, I don't know when we want to have that discussion, if we want to carry that on a future agenda we are meeting next week, correct? We just talked about this?
Yes,
So
you are meeting next week.
do you want to carry this
Please
for a
make a note
discussion
of that.
next
We're
week?
meeting next week.
Yeah, I think we got to get this resolved rather quickly than not. We're
But
not going to drag our feet, so let's go.
Right. I'll confer with the chair and see where they're at.
Okay.
You have any more good news, Mr. Steinhardt?
No, that's it, sir.
Oh, thank goodness. Okay. Old business. I have one that I'd like to just bring up and reaffirm. I think we did it, but I don't remember. I need to have just I guess either to vote or reaffirm the creation of the short-term rental subcommittee of the planning board consisting of at least 5, no more than 7 members. That's the Airbnb subcommittee that we were supposed to do pre-COVID, then COVID hit and they kind of put it off. They have recently recontacted all the people that were supposed to be on that. And they are all still interested, so they are going to reconstitute that and start that. But I don't remember if we actually voted to form that sub, and I believe we have to. Did we just lose Carl? Oh, no, there he is.
Right here.
Okay. So I need a motion to establish that sub.
Joe Didi will make that motion.
Russ Fox will second.
Doug Moglen, aye.
Joe Didi, aye.
Russ Fox, aye.
Thank you. He did that for dramatic effect, and it worked.
It worked.
It worked. We talked about reopening town hall, regional dispatch. Attorney Coyle and I have been working. He sent over a draft to me today. We're going to send back over a proposed IMA to our sister city to the north. And I'm hoping that for next week's meeting, we will be in a position to discuss that in a little more detail, either in regular session or exec session. SPD temporary sergeant recruitment process. Did the chief stay on or did he leave? Are we ready to post that yet? Or
Well, yeah, I mean, you obviously can post this one, and then you also have the administrative sergeant too, but that won't be approved until you get into the May town meeting.
correct, but wouldn't that be a right of assignment? Aren't we just going to appoint 2? Similar to what happens with a detective sergeant, right? That's a right
No,
of
because-
assignment by the chief, right?
Well, one of them is only a temporary sergeant because, following along the lines of the MOA with the union, because
Yep.
that person is going to be backfilling the incoming lieutenant who's on a probationary year. So one of them is a temporary sergeant and the other one will be a permanent sergeant.
So it would be 2 postings.
Right, so the chief is waiting, and obviously, he could start that process, but the outcome of them would be contingent upon the outcome of the town meeting. At least on one of them.
Okay, well, we should still, so we need to work with the chief to fine tune that and get that done or what?
Yeah, if you're okay with it, I could ask him to develop the draft postings for myself and Labor Council to review, and then they would come to you.
Yeah, because we got to get moving. It's coming up on, April's over. Here we are going into May. By the time we get the interviews, it'll, with town meeting and elections and everything else. And, if you'll be into June and the fiscal year starts July 1.
Right. But in all, due consideration, you need to realize you just dealt with this issue at your last meeting with the finance committee on the 13th of April when you did the reconciliations.
Hey, we got to keep moving there.
I know
Chief.
that, but so it's not like it hasn't been on a back burner
Nope.
like a suit of armor.
Okay, and I'm taking by the, I think we can strike that last item. Since we've put that into the budget this year, that we
Yep.
will not be meeting with them for reconsideration of the roof design process that has promulgated through the budget where we had to come up for that money. By the way, Mr. Fox, I was looking for recordings of old town meetings for the current moderator. She was looking for the 2020 annual, and I couldn't find it, but I did stumble across a special. And I believe at that meeting that we had with CPC, what is it, less than a month ago, the board was kind of chastised for not saving money for this roof replacement project. But during that special town meeting, which we spent about $1.2 million, if memory serves, you spoke very, very eloquently on this exact topic. And I believe the dollar amount to use was about $35 million worth of work that needed to be done on town buildings. So I found it interesting just going through those recordings to hear that you've been on point and we've been looking at this. This was just one avenue. And so it's in the budget and here we go. But it was not something we just came into our heads overnight that we needed a roof on the town hall. This is something, 3-4 years from the study and everything else going on. So thank you.
Well, Mr. Chairman, it's unfortunate that they chose not to have another meeting. I even tried as a private citizen by filing a certain complaint form to see if they would not hold the meeting. That complaint form has not been acted on yet, but I did that as a private citizen and not as a member of the select board of the town of Southwick.
Okay. Other old business, Mr. Didi,
No,
Mr. Fox,
no, sir.
Mr. Steinhardt.
No, sir.
Do we have an executive session this evening?
None is needed, sir.
Okay. Any other business before the select board this evening then? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Joe Didi will make that motion.
Russ Fox will second that motion.
Doug Moglen, aye.
Joe Didi, aye.
Russ Fox, aye.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Good night, everybody. Stay safe.